Greetings everyone from La Push, Washington. I believe, and you may have to check my facts on this, but I think this is the westernmost part of the continental United States, La Push. It's actually close to Forks, Washington, and for those of you who are familiar with the movie and book series Twilight, that is where that was all set. Just kind of an FYI, for those of you who like bed and breakfasts and small country inns, when those people who own those, or small business owners, when they go on vacation, they have really two options. They can either close down their property or they can hire what's known as an inn sitter. And so my wife, with our company Inn Connections, actually does inn sitting. And so we are in Forks, Washington this week. I'm just kind of tagging along with her while she's running the Miller Tree Bed and Breakfast. The Miller Tree Bed and Breakfast was actually used as the Cullen House in the Twilight series, so for whatever that's worth. But this week I just wanted to give you a little bit of a recap on the first week of your course. You had two discussion boards and a case study, and the first discussion board was simply just an introduction. And I find those very interesting because what I like to do is to get to know you a little bit better. And I think it's important that each one of you get to know each other as well, because over the next 10, 11, 12 courses, you may be having some of the same people in the same classes, so it's great to be able to get to know each other. So please take advantage of that and come back and look at people's backgrounds, because the one thing that you'll notice, there's a heck of a lot of diversity in this class, both from a background perspective, experience, and so on. And so I find that very valuable. The second discussion question this week really focused on a definition for critical thinking. And that discussion really played out well in the class, because what I wanted to do was to get an idea and to give you an idea of the multiple definitions for critical thinking that you can find. I've put in a little bit of additional comments, and there goes a great big truck right by me. Put in some great some comments on curiosity as it relates to critical thinking. And so I would ask you just to look at those questions and begin to look at the many different definitions. Many of you used outside sources, and that's fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. So as you go forward with your discussion questions, please use those types of outside sources and make sure that you properly cite those in your discussion boards as well. The one thing I did want to emphasize is really response posts. Response posts are incredibly important, that you extend the conversation. So simply just don't go, "I agree," or "great post," or something like that. What you can do is you can take the conversation a little bit further. And by that I mean you can give an example from your own personal experience, you can give examples or additional points from the research that you've gleaned that week, or you can ask a question. And also, you don't have to agree. So if you disagree with someone else's post based upon the research or experience that you've had, then it's okay to disagree, just do so respectfully as you go forward. And then finally this week, you had a personal case study. You're going to have a case study most every single week, but this one was a little bit unique. And it was unique because what I asked you to do was to do a personal assessment. In all the courses that I teach in this degree program, I ask you to do a personal assessment based upon what that course is all about. And I do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, I operate under the assumption that if all we do in higher education is give you theories and ask you to regurgitate information, then we've really failed. If you walk out of one of my classes and you don't know a little bit more about yourself, then I think I've failed in teaching you. So what I try to do is use these assessments to get you to know a little bit more about yourself. And this critical thinking assessment was one of those. And what you'll find, we'll use this information throughout the course. Each one of you may have a different type of thinking style. One thinking style is not preferred over another. They're just different. And so I think it's important for you to understand your thinking style versus someone else's thinking style, so that you can work together to utilize those strengths and styles to solve problems and to think critically. You'll also note that in part 2 of your course project, I ask you to define the critical thinking styles of those people, the main characters in Amina's story. Now let me give you a little bit of a hint. In Chapter 2 of the book, Now You're Thinking, it actually gives you that information. So for those of you who are walking through this video with me, you've got a little bit of a tip there. And so make sure that you take a look at those. Make sure that you look at and focus very deeply on those. Again, the reason that I had you do it is so you learn a little bit more about yourself, and hopefully you can apply it in your personal life and in your business as you go forward. And then secondly, I had you write it in the form of a paper just so that you get used to writing papers. One of the key things in graduate level studies is that you focus on writing papers rather than just simply giving answers. And so that's very important. So again, greetings from La Push, Washington, and hopefully you'll have a great lesson too. I'll talk to you soon.